Hi everyone. If you don't remember me from last week, my name's Grace and I hold a bachelor's degree in nutrition. And I'm here to talk to you every Tuesday at noon about all things nutrition. So UVAC will be rolling out more nutrition programs as we reopen. But in the meantime, please bring your questions to these sessions to ask me anything in the comments, or you can email me at gscott@uvacswim.org for any time if you have any personal inquiries. And I hope you're all enjoying the beautiful weather today. I'm outside to really soak in the sun that we've been missing for so long. So if you tuned in the last few weeks, we covered carbohydrates the first week with a focus on sugar and fat last week. So I wanted to talk about the third macronutrient today, protein. And protein is one of my favorite topics to talk about because it's not necessarily controversial, but people do sometimes have skewed thoughts about it. So, like the past couple weeks, I want to talk a little bit about the science behind protein, just so you can have a background information. So, protein's made up of molecules called amino acids, which you may have heard about, and these are essentially the building blocks of protein. I like to think of them as kind of like Legos. Amino acids are the Legos, and protein is the final product or construction. So, the total number of different amino acids is sometimes disputed among scientists, but is mostly agreed that there are 20 total. 11 are considered non essential, and 9 are considered essential for our body to function. So, essential amino acids are those that our bodies cannot make, so we must get them in our diet. And again, there are 9 of these. Non essential amino acids are those that our body can make, so they are present in food, but we don't need to rely on them as a dietary source. So, again, non essential amino acids are made via the in the body, and essential amino acids are not made in the body, and we must eat them. So I want to talk for a minute about what protein actually does for us. I'm a strong believer that understanding why you do something is just as important as doing it. So protein is responsible for helping our metabolism go in the form of enzymes, and it builds and maintains tissue. That's why it's an important factor in muscle growth and maintenance, and why a lot of bodybuilders swear by protein as the key to their success, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. It also has other functions such as fluid maintenance, molecule transfer, and immune health, but there's no need to focus on those. You can ask me questions about them, but you really shouldn't be concerned about that stuff unless there's a serious problem, which you'd obviously talk to your doctor about. So my main message is that protein is an important molecule, and for this reason we should make sure we're eating the right amounts. So how do we make sure we're getting enough of these individual molecules that called amino acids? That seems like a ton of calculations and work, but it actually isn't. Most foods contain different combinations of amino acids, so there's no need to worry. Virtually, from my experience and knowledge, most foods have some sort of protein that's tangible, and virtually all foods have amino acids in some sort, even if they don't contribute to enough dietary protein. So back to complete protein sources. Animal-based protein sources contain all amino acids that you need to consume in the diet. So every time you have a burger, fish, chicken, or anything else, you're getting the type of protein you need. Plant-based proteins are a little trickier because most do not contain all the amino acids we need. So we need to be a little more mindful of that. So if you're vegan or vegetarian, you may want to consider be paying attention to your protein. However, some plant-based protein sources do have all 9 amino acids, and so there's no need to worry when you eat these foods. So tofu, quinoa, hemp, and chia seeds are all examples of plant-based complete proteins. So again, they contain all 9 essential amino acids that we need to consume via the diet. So for the plant-based proteins that aren't complete proteins, you can pair them together to make complete proteins. And this is called protein pairing, or like complementary protein foods. Essentially, you match complementary sources together to make the food complete. Examples of this are peanut butter sandwiches, hummus with bread or crackers, cereal with milk, and beans with a grain. Generally speaking, pairing a legume or lentil with grains, nuts or seeds or dairy, grains with dairy, and dairy with nuts and or seeds will give you a complete protein. And you don't need to consume these protein pairings in one meal together. You can consume it throughout the day. And that is why paying it while you may want to pay attention to what kind of protein you're consuming, it's not the be all end all. You can be relaxed about it. And you don't have to be obsessive about numbers or pairing or anything like that. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about how much protein we actually need. The average healthy adult needs 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. However, you don't have to. You can do this calculation if you want, but it's not really necessary. It's kind of, I don't even know how much protein I need, and I think about this kind of stuff nonstop all day because that's what I'm studying. But I don't know what mine is, and I wouldn't immediately start measuring out grams of protein you consume each day based on this number, because again, it's a calculation and there could be inaccuracies, and it may not be completely healthy for your relationship with food. And being obsessive about it won't solve any problems. And if you're concerned about eating enough or eating too much, just check the nutrition facts label to get a ballpark of how much you're eating, and definitely talk to your doctor or another certified medical professional to give you some good ideas about your protein sources and how much you should be having. So with physically active people, it seems that protein is sometimes touted as like the superior nutrient, and this is definitely not the case, and our bodies do need all our nutrients. That's why they're nutrients. They're essential for our health. However, those who are very active, think professional athletes or people who are very physically active, may need more protein than the average person, but it varies greatly depending on the athlete. If you think you fall into this category, I would recommend eating at least 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram if you really wanted to do the calculation. But again, definitely speak to a registered dietitian, oh, it's a little windy, or another health professional to confirm your individual needs. And again, this is only for really active people. If you're an average person who exercises a little regularly, and is not doing like extreme bodybuilding or weightlifting or marathon training, you're probably fine with however much protein you're eating. So like the other macronutrients, protein is in many different types of food, and I alluded to that earlier. Even it's in like meat, fish, eggs, more plant-based sources such as nuts, seeds, lentils, legumes, and grains. So it's really in a lot. It's even in, like, an apple even has like a gram of protein. So it's really spread across the food supply. So and not many people are deficient in the in a country such as the United States. You see the protein deficiencies more in developing countries. Not to say that doesn't happen here, but it's less prevalent. So I like to recommend aiming for minimally processed protein sources. So like the meat, the fish, the eggs, lentils, legumes, grains, etc. I get asked a lot about the need for protein powders and other supplements such as protein bars, and unless you are very active, part of the population has increased needs or need more protein for medical reasons, there's really no need for these products. And these products, depending on brand and ingredients, may have a lot of stuff you don't want. I know protein bars often have a lot of sugar in them to make them taste good, because whey or other protein bases often used in those products don't always taste the best, so they supplement with sugar and fat, and that's not always great for our health in large quantities. So, like everything else, think simply, don't stress about it. Chances are your body's telling you what it needs and doesn't need inadvertently, so you don't have to, don't get super hyper aware of how much protein you should be eating. It's just something to keep in mind. And that is all I have for the didactic portion of this. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to field them right now. I'll stick around for a couple minutes. If not, feel free to email me or message me on Facebook, and I'll be happy to answer any more questions you have and feedback for topics in the coming weeks. And again, I mentioned earlier, once UVAC opens, we're going to adopt a more nutrition components to our programs. So you can certainly sign up for classes and other programming we may offer once things are back up and running. All right, it doesn't look like there's any questions, so I'm gonna go, but feel free to reach out, and I will talk to you all next week at 12 noon on UVAC's Facebook Live. All right, have a good day, everyone. Bye.